Audiobook Academy Biography presents Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens was a British author who penned beloved classics such as Hard Times, A Christmas Carol, David Copperfield and Great Expectations. Author Charles Dickens was a British writer of great books like Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol, Nicholas Nickleby, A Tale of Two Cities, and Great Expectations, among others. As one of the most significant and influential authors in 19th-century literature, Charles Dickens deserves his place in history. He has been praised for portraying the Victorian underclass in such a severe light that it aided in societal progress. Childhood and education. The south coast of England's Portsmouth is where Charles John Huffam Dickens was born on February 7, 1812. The acclaimed British author was the second of 8 children in a family of 10. When John Dickens was a Navy clerk, he dreamed of becoming a millionaire as his father had. A teacher and school director was Elizabeth Barrow's goal in life. Although his parents worked hard, they were still poor. However, they were content at the beginning. After relocating to Chatham in Kent in 1816, young Dickens and his siblings were able to explore the surrounding countryside and the ruins of Rochester Castle. The Dickens family settled in Camden Town, a slum in London, in 1822. As a result of John Dickens' risky tendency of living beyond his means, the family's financial position had gotten dire at this point. In 1824, when Charles was just 12 years old, John was finally imprisoned for debt. Dickens was forced to quit school after his father was imprisoned to work at a boot-blacking factory on the Thames. Dickens earned 6 shillings a week marking pots of blacking, a material used to clean fires, at the decrepit, rodent-infested factory. To aid on his family, that was the best he could do at the time. Dickens reflected on the event and stated he questioned how he could be so easily cast away at such a young age as he said goodbye to his youthful innocence. In his eyes, the grown-ups who were supposed to look after him had abandoned and betrayed him. The thoughts he expressed here would become a common motif in his writing. When his father inherited a family bequest and used it to pay off his obligations, Dickens was able to return to school. At the age of 15, Dickens's education was once more yanked from beneath him by an outside force. For financial reasons in 1827, he had to drop out of school and take a job as an office boy. His writing career took off as a result of this assignment. Accomplished freelance journalist, editor, and artist. The next year, Dickens began working as a freelance court reporter in London. It wasn't long after that he was working for 2 of London's most popular publications. Boz was the pseudonym he used to send sketches to several publications in 1833. His first book, Sketches by Boz, was published in 1836, and contained his newspaper clippings. He also published the posthumous papers of Pickwick Club that year. Robert Seymour's hilarious sports-themed paintings were the inspiration for his series, which he wrote as captions for. Pickwick Club's posthumous papers were a huge hit with fans of the series. Even more popular than the illustrations they were designed to accompany, Dickens' captions were his most popular work. It was later established that he was the editor of journals such as Household Words and All the Year Round. Children. After the publication of his first book, Sketches by Boz, Dickens married Catherine Hogarth. 10 children were born to the couple. Dickens was devastated by the deaths of his daughter and father in the 1850s. In 1858, he also divorced his wife. As a result of his public attacks on Catherine, Dickens developed an illicit romantic relationship with the actress Ellen Nellie Ternan. When did Dickens and Ternan begin seeing each other? According to some sources, the two started dating each other before or after Dickens and his wife divorced. The works of Charles Dickens. Dickens penned and published a total of 15 books during the course of his lifetime. His best-known works are as follows. Oliver Twist is a film, 1837–1838. Dickens' debut work, Oliver Twist, chronicles the experiences of an orphan surviving on the streets of London. An impoverished boy forced to fend for himself, Dickens was the inspiration for this novel. Dickens began serializing Oliver Twist in Bentley's Miscellany between February 1837 and April 1838, with the full book edition released in November 1838. Throughout his career, Dickens continued to feature Oliver Twist in his publications, such as Household Words and All the Year Round. Both the United Kingdom and the United States embraced the novel. It was with great anticipation that devoted Oliver Twist fans awaited the next monthly chapter. A Christmas Carol, 1843. A Christmas Carol was published by Charles Dickens on December 19, 1843. With the help of the ghosts, Ebenezer Scrooge, a grumpy old miser, is able to get into the holiday mood. 6 weeks later, Dickens have completed the novel in time for the Christmas celebrations. It was the author's intention to use the story as social commentary, highlighting the plight of England's lower social strata. On the day it was released, the book had sold more than 6,000 copies. After reading the book, an American entrepreneur reportedly gave his employees an extra day off because of its sensitive emotional depth. Dickens' best-known and most loved masterpiece, despite literary criticism, is A Christmas Carol. Dealings with the Firm of Dombey and Son, 1846–1848. Dealings with the Firm of Dombey and Son was published by Dickens in monthly portions from October 1846 to April 1848. Book form of the novel was published in 1848 and deals with how business practices affect a family's financial well-being. Charles Dickens' work is regarded crucial to his body of work because of its bleak depiction of England. David Copperfield, 1849–1850. Nothing like it had been done before. A story that merely followed a character through his day-to-day activities was unique. Dickens released the book in monthly installments from May 1849 to November 1850, with the whole novel being published in November 1850. From his rough childhood to his profession as a journalist, Dickens drew on his own experiences to write it. Dickens' personal favorite was David Copperfield, despite the fact that it isn't generally regarded as one of his best works. A Dickensian novel's reputation was built on this one, too. Bleak House, 1852–1853. Dickens' works took on a more gloomy tone with the deaths of his father and daughter and the breakup of his marriage. During the publication of his novel Bleak House, which ran from 1852 to 1853, he dealt with British society's hypocrisy. One of his most difficult works to date. Hard Times, 1854. It's an industrial town at the height of its prosperity, and that's where Hard Times takes place. The book, which was first published in 1854, discusses both the failings of employers and the efforts of people who would like to see a change. A Tale of Two Cities, 1859. In 1859, Dickens released A Tale of Two Cities, a historical book set in Paris and London during the French Revolution. All the Year Round, a publication he created, published it. Death, sacrifice, and a struggle between oppression and revolution, as well as the prospect of rebirth, all figure prominently in the plot. Great Expectations, 1861. Dickens' best work, Great Expectations, was serialized from December 1860 to August 1861 and published as a book in October 1861. Dickens' second work to be recounted in the first person, Pip, concentrates on the protagonist's lifelong path of moral development. Novel's themes of wealth and poverty, love and rejection and good versus evil are explored through vivid imagery and well-developed characters in the well-received work. Other novels. Dickens found it difficult to duplicate his early success with Oliver Twist. He published Nicholas Nickleby, The Old Curiosity Shop, and Barnaby Rudge between 1838 and 1841. Another work from Dickens' later years, Little Dorrit, 1857, is a fictional exploration of the tension between human values and the ruthlessness of society. While Our Mutual Friend was serialized between 1864 and 1865 before being published as a book in 1865, it examines the psychological effects of affluence on London society. In the United States and Italy. On a lecture tour of the United States in 1842, Charles Dickens and his wife Catherine were married for 5 months. The return of Dickens to England inspired him to write a satirical account of his time in America, American Notes for General Circulation. At this period, he also wrote Martin Chuzzlewit's Life and Adventures, a tale of a man's struggle to survive in the harsh American frontier. Dickens stated his opposition to slavery and desire for greater reforms on his first U.S. tour in 1842. He was so well liked that ticket scalpers gathered outside his appearances from Virginia to Missouri, where his lectures began. Dickens received the finest reception that possibly any visitor to America has ever had during his tour, according to biographer J.B. Priestley. Dickens, a well-known braggart, once boasted, "They throng around me as if I were an idol." Although he initially found the attention amusing, he soon grew tired of the intrusion on his personal space. American Notes, he subsequently wrote, showed his displeasure with Americans' gregariousness and vulgar customs. Dickens returned to the United States in 1867 and 1868 to make amends for his first tour's harsh criticism of the people of the United States. During his speech, he promised to publish copies of American Notes for General Circulation and the Life and Adventures of Martin Chuzzlewit, in which he praised the United States. At the time, that would be the equivalent of almost $1.5 million in today's money. His 75 readings brought in about $95,000. People all around London recognized Dickens as he roamed the streets of London, gathering observations that would inspire his future writings. Pictures from Italy, Dickens' 1846 travelogue, documents his trip in Italy. Death. Dickens died on June 9, 1870, at Gad's Hill Place in Kent, England, at the age of 58 after suffering a stroke. Dickens had been injured in a train accident 5 years prior and never entirely recovered. Despite his deteriorating health, he toured until just before he died. Poets' Corner at Westminster Abbey was the final resting place of Charles Dickens, with thousands of mourners attending the author's funeral. English writer Thomas Carlyle said that the death of Charles Dickens was like an event internationally, a rare and vanishing genius. The Mysteries of Edwin Drood was still unfinished at the time of his death. Films. In addition to the numerous film and theatrical adaptations, Dickens' classics like A Christmas Carol have been repackaged numerous times over the course of the years in different media formats. The Man Who Invented Christmas, starring Dan Stevens as Charles Dickens and Christopher Plummer as his famous fictitious character Ebenezer Scrooge, was released in November 2017. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.